and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know, I love the Oscars. I love seeing great films get recognized for their craftsmanship and just a general love and appreciation for the art that is film. It's just always a celebration, and that's why I just love like award shows in general, just for celebrating what is good art. I thought it would be fun to start a little series where I do like mini deep dives into all of the Best Picture nominees and winners and try to figure out exactly why they were put into this category of Best Picture. I'm going to try to attempt to justify why I think a nominated film should have won Best Picture or why it did end up winning Best Picture. I'm going to put myself into the brain of an Academy voter and again try to see what about these films make it Best Picture quality. This is going to be easy for some and much harder for others. But you know what? I like that challenge, and that's why I've decided to do this. I've decided to start with the 97th Academy Awards, the most recent ones, the Academy Awards that celebrated films released in 2024, and I am starting with the film The Substance. And I'm mostly starting with this film because I finally got it on Blu-ray from the library, and I was waiting for it for like ever. It felt like, so I just wanted to make sure I watched it before it was due. Also, make sure you support your local libraries. They will most likely have nearly every Best Picture nominee either on like DVD or Blu-ray or on their own streaming service of Canopy or Hoopla. The Substance, written and directed by Coralie Farja, is a satirical body horror film that focuses on an actress who has reached her prime, losing her job as a result in the search for someone younger and hotter. After running into a mysterious male nurse, he tells her to take the substance as it has changed his life. She begins taking it, which creates a new, younger version of herself. The thing is, both the old and young versions have to switch off every week to help keep the balance. But when this balance gets disrupted, you are not prepared for what is in store for our characters. Starring Demi Moore as the aging actress Elizabeth, Margaret Qualley as her younger version named Sue, and Dennis Quaid as the creepy studio producer Harvey, which I love the choice of name for his character, by the way. I just think that's fabulous. Besides its nomination for Best Picture, it also received nominations for Best Actress for Moore, Best Director for Farja, Best Original Screenplay for Farja, and Best Makeup and Hairstyling, which it did end up winning for. What I love about this nomination is that it's not your like typical what you would think of Best Picture nominee. Like I said, it can kind of be broken up into the two genres of satire or being satirical and horror, more specifically body horror. And while there have been plenty of satirical Best Picture nominations over the course of the 97 years the Oscars have been around, horror, especially body horror, is not typically nominated. There's a few outliers that have been nominated, but for something like this, to put these two things together in a Best Picture nominee is really not all that common. The Academy usually steers clear away of horror films just because, I actually really don't know why. It's also very grotesque at the end, adding to my surprise of why it was even like nominated, but just because a lot of people do not like when like blood and guts and things get too much, especially in the context of what it is in this film. This film is also very critical of Hollywood and especially their treatment of their older actresses. So the fact that they wanted to nominate a film that talks badly about them when Hollywood really likes to talk very highly of itself is also another surprise. But I really like how it seems like the Academy wants to try to change that idea of just rewarding films that talk about how amazing Hollywood is. And I think this nomination just proves that the Academy is ready to start awarding more weird films or something that may not have been deemed as worthy in the past because of the ever-changing landscape that is film. But now, here's why I think it should have won Best Picture. The main focus of this film is Hollywood's views and treatments of older women and actresses, specifically when they are no longer able to financially benefit from having a pretty face and a hot body. It's also not like subtle in this messaging either. They make it very clear that Hollywood does not like old women. Because it has this satirical approach, though, it's able to talk about this issue in both a funny way, but also a heartbreaking way that just makes it feel more real to people who may not be in this line of work of being an actress in Hollywood. And when you're able to convey this with a satirical approach and it feels this relatable, I think that's when you know that you have a great film. At some point in our lives, women have felt the way that Elizabeth feels in this film. From a young age, through like advertisements and entertainment, and especially now with social media, women are taught exactly what it means to be pretty. We see that the prettier celebrities or social media stars are the ones that have more followers, that get more money, that essentially have this pretty privilege. But also we are taught that we are not supposed to care too much about our looks because then we're considered vain, or that's all that we care about. And it's not should not just be about looks, even though the most attractive people are the ones that are making the most money with the most amount of eyes on them. I personally don't wear a lot of makeup. I don't really know how to do it well, and I just would rather spend more time in the morning sleeping. So I just don't wear it, and that's just a choice of mine. But on one of my shorts that I did a while ago when I was talking about like a book review or a musical review or something like that, the only comment that was on it was about how I had acne on my chin. I'm literally just giving a review. I don't understand why the acne on my chin is what you care about at that moment in time that you had to make a comment about that. But we, both men and women, are fed through ads and through previous beauty standards and past depictions of what women should do and should look like and should be. It's just not realistic anymore, and it should not be the only thing that is cared about when you are putting out yourself to the world. No matter how hard you work for something, it may not be worth it if you're not pretty enough. But if you're not perfect, don't worry. Those ads, the ones that are telling you that you're ugly, they coincidentally then have the solution for that ugliness. That's literally what the substance itself is. It's a drug that makes you hot again. It allows you to live the life you once had, because when you're young and hot, that is when your life is the best, obviously. Opportunities will keep rolling on in for you, especially if you're in Hollywood. Elizabeth is literally fired because Harvey tells her, well, you're 50 now, and you know what happens after 50. He is clearly older than her and clearly still has a job, a very high position, high powered job, by the way. And he's the one telling her that she doesn't deserve to have this job anymore, that she is literally getting fired because she's not hot anymore. But like, he isn't, especially if you've seen him eat shrimp. It is disgusting. That is not attractive at all. And these feelings of knowing at a certain point you're not desirable anymore, at least that's what as has been portrayed through life, is, I think, perfectly captured in the bathroom scene. Early in the film, Elizabeth runs into an old classmate of hers, and he gives her her number, and later on, she decides to go get drinks with him, to go out on a cute little date. Their date comes a few weeks after Elizabeth has already been taking the substance and has decided, you know what, I'm gonna do something for myself. I let Sue, the young version of herself, have all the fun. I want to do this and have fun for me. As she gets ready to leave for her date, she sees a giant billboard of Sue looking hot right outside her window. Immediately, Elizabeth recognizes that she does not look like that version of herself, so she goes back to the bathroom to cover herself up with more makeup and more accessories. She tries to leave again, and Sue just stares back at her, and again, she heads back to the bathroom to fix herself because she realizes she will never be as pretty as Sue. What society considers as conventionally attractive is literally haunting Elizabeth right outside her window, and every day she stares at it, and every time we see as she's trying to leave, it will continue to haunt her because she, in her present self, does not look like that version of herself anymore. She can only look like that if she has the substance. And I feel like this scene hits home for a lot of women because at some point we have felt not pretty enough, not attractive enough, not good enough to go out on that date, to go hang out with friends. And it just means so much that someone who has a very good life, even before she was taking the substance, has a good life, feels this way about herself. I think that can just really hit home for a lot of people. Men also definitely have feelings of insecurity. That's not something that is trying to be hidden or that's like a rare fact. Men do have insecurities about their looks. They go bald as they go older. They get heavier. They gain weight in like their stomachs as they age as well. And we see this because there's one other person taking the substance alongside Elizabeth, and that is the male nurse that recommended it to her. So men have these feelings of insecurities too. This is not a female only experience. The difference is us as women have been fed this information of beauty standards from a much younger age and usually are always like, you're not good enough unless you look like this. It's just always felt so much more targeted to women rather than to men. How we view the aging process is something that needs to change. And I think that's what this film is also trying to say in its satirical and body horror way. I also like how the film explores a different kind of drug that we don't really talk about that much. Fame. When you get that little bit of power and recognition, how you deal with that can control the rest of your life. I'm from a generation where the job of YouTuber started to be a little bit more aspirational, not as much as it is now with the younger generations, but we started to see these people that were our age or a little bit older than us get money and fame just by putting videos on YouTube. And I think it really created this phenomena of young, fame-hungry individuals. I think this is a great group of people to look at to see what happens when you get a taste of that fame drug. We see this with TikTok too. If you get that one little bit of viral power, that one viral video, what you need to do is that you need to take it, grab it, hold on to it for dear life and try to make something of it, because that is the only way that you are going to be successful in life. You had that little bit of virality and power once. You need to figure out how to get that again. And there are people that are not able to handle this type of exposure, and we see it time after time. There's books, there's movies, there's documentaries, docuseries about how fame at no matter what age, especially in the age of social media, is a drug. That feeling of being on top of the world is intoxicating, and you don't even have to take something to feel that. It's intoxicating like a drug. And we clearly see this with Margaret Qualley's character of Sue, the younger version of Elizabeth. Yes, she is technically taking the actual drug, the substance, but the drug that was not expected to come along is the one that comes with fame. And she is just soaking up this fame drug so easily, as if it is also just another supplement to the substance. But remember, the substance needs balance. Sue doesn't respect the balance with Elizabeth. Again, they're supposed to switch off every week. 1 week is Sue, 1 week is Elizabeth, 1 week is Sue, 1 week is Elizabeth. But Sue doesn't want that. She is on top of the world, baby. She needs to stay there. But this other drug, this fame drug that she didn't intentionally take, that just kind of came along for the ride as a side effect of the substance, that's what's going to end up costing her. Again, this film isn't really subtle with this type of messaging, but I really like how it's able to show and display how we view and treat women, what fame can do for us. I think it's a really great film and is able to tell it in a new way instead of just being like, fame is bad, you're beautiful no matter what. Like that's a story that is told time and time again. But with this satirical aspect and its body horrorness of it, I think it just really adds to the fun of it, even though these are not fun topics to talk about. I also just think the film is technically pretty outstanding. I love some of the variety of camera angles and camera shots that we get. The performances from the three main characters are probably my favorite from anything they've done. Demi Moore, Margaret Qualley, especially Dennis Quaid. Dennis Quaid, I think, was fantastic. It's probably my favorite performance from him since, like, The Parent Trap. All of them are just able to show so much either emotion, like we get through Elizabeth, the craze of what fame can do from you from Margaret Qualley's Sue, and again, the creepiness of Dennis Quaid's Harvey. I just love all three of them in this film. I just think it's a pretty well to get together film, even if it does get like a little bonkers at the end. The Substance, I hope, is a launching off point for the Academy to start nominating these more weird or different films as best pictures because of the messaging and how they are put together deserves to be in this conversation of best picture. Just because it is told through the lens of satire or body horror does not lessen the importance of the message, because that is a new and different and vibrant way to get this message across in film. And that is why I think The Substance should have won Best Picture at the 97th Academy Awards. Now, if you will excuse me, I have to go switch with the younger, hotter version of me that I have locked in my bathroom, because remember, you have to respect the balance.